Week 9 is over, and it was a great week. Some good, some bad, kind of like you get just about every week. Okay. A lot of fun games to watch throughout the weekend. All right. I know if you've been watching before, you're seeing, wait a minute, a little different setup here. You got that right, buddy. Look right here behind me. This is legit right here. It's legit. Okay. I mean, this is the real deal. You see this right here? The sound's going to be way better. I hope. Hopefully. All right. This is awesome. I got a little bit of an upgrade. Are we big time around here yet? I don't know, but we're certainly acting like it. Trying to be. Okay. We're trying to be. And I'm excited about it. It ought to be great. It ought to be a lot of fun, man. And I greatly appreciate it. It was my birthday last Friday. This past Friday, this was a couple days ago. So I really got got a little bit of got a couple gifts that kind of are helping the pod, right? Pretty big time stuff. Got the mic, the banner is that's doing some good advertising right there. So, for our TikTok listeners who just watch on TikTok, comment, which we love, you're gonna see this. You're gonna say, "Hey, wait a minute, what is this pad level thing?" It's on Spotify and YouTube, baby. You watch full episodes. We're talking about college football twice a week, maybe in the future more, but right now it's twice a week. So this is awesome. I mean, I feel like I don't feel like I've made it, but I feel like we are. I mean, this is the real deal. It's so nice I had to move to a different side of the room. All right. So this is awesome. This is the big time, man. Look at this. Look at this. I just muted it right there. This thing is, wow. You tap it and mutes. Unbelievable. So, uh, this is pad level. I'm Jake McKenzie, and we just finished up a week 9 of football that was some things we expected, some things we didn't. Another head coach firing. Kind of disgusted. I don't know if you used that word on this podcast before, but I'm kind of disgusted. Okay. There's a couple, we'll talk about it. We're going to get there. All right. Anyway, so I'm going to start out. I've already talked about new setup. Let's talk about once you get to Spotify or YouTube, what do you do? Well, listen, first of all, listen, watch, listen. You know, it's, kind of as of right now, it's me solo on the Sundays, kind of the recap review of the weekend of the games. And then during the week, I get the boys Griffin and Dalton. They're my brothers, but I get them on, or they're twins. I get them on the pod. And what we do is we break down and preview the games coming up. So, so you'll get some pad level twice a week. All right. So what you do when you get to YouTube, Spotify, watch and listen. Okay. The next thing you do once you watch slash and listen, you subscribe on YouTube and you follow on Spotify. On Spotify, you also rate. YouTube, maybe you can rate. I'm not sure. If you can, rate it 5 stars. If you don't like it, rate it 1 star. But tell me why. Tell me why. Okay, you go 1 star or 2 or whatever. If it's 5, just give me 5 and you can rock and roll. Because it doesn't cost you anything. I'm not gonna hound you about anything. I'm not gonna hound you about anything. All you gotta do, subscribe. It takes about 5 seconds. Couple taps on the screen. And then all it does is helps the boys, Griffin and Dalton, helps pad level, and it helps us grow and get better and do what we can do. We're trying to grow and get better all the time anyway. But that will help us even more. There's some things we can get into that would be new and different and cool. The more following, the more, people who listen on to the show. So, and for the people who have been doing it already, thank you. I appreciate it. It's, I started this because I felt like I was talking to college football about college football to people who didn't want to hear it. And and there's nothing wrong with that. I figured I could find a pretty good group of folks out here who may want to listen. And I think I found a pretty good group. And I'd love to keep growing that group. So if you are listening, doing that stuff, tell other people. Get them in to come watch and listen, and we'll have a great time. We'll talk about some college football and get some conversation, and it'll be great. So, uh, anyway, I know you see I've got the old UNC shirt on. Okay, the old lady went to UNC. Beautiful girlfriend Taylor went to UNC for second half of her education in college, post grad school. And so they had a tough game this weekend. Had a tough game last weekend, but this weekend even tougher because I mean, 2 weeks in a row they get to the one or inside the one, and they don't make it in the end zone to either get a 2-point conversion or score a touchdown to win the game. Tough, but what that tells you is they're at least moving in the right direction to where hopefully some of the heat kind of comes off old Bill Belichick. He got a bunch early on. It just goes to show you, it's not you can't judge the things so quickly. You can't judge things so quickly. So, and that's kind of part of what I'm gonna talk about today, right? So, as we get into talking about the most recent head coach dismissal or firing, whatever. Look who it is. He's made an appearance. Juke, look, buddy. Everybody's asking to see you. You see? Hey, Juke. We got a new setup. He doesn't know what to do about it. All right, come on, buddy. Come on. All right, okay, there you go. All right, so that's Juke. You might probably get a better look a little bit later, because he. Okay, buddy. Okay. All right, come on, back up. There we go. Okay. All right. So that's Juke. You'll get to see him again probably because he'll butt his head in again. I'm pretty sure. All right, that's the Pad Level Team mascot, and here he comes again. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna talk about the weekend a little bit. So it was my birthday weekend. My beautiful girlfriend spoiled me a little. I've shown you the couple things I have gotten. It's not all from her, but some's from her, some from family, stuff like that. Now, we also went to Greenville, South Carolina to do a little. It's a music festival, country music festival there in Greenville, the Greenville Music Fest, I think it's called. And great show. It was Friday and Saturday. We just got there for Saturday. Zach Top was the headliner. If you like country music, you know Zach Top's phenomenal. He was great. Travis Tritt was before him. That's awesome. Ian Munsick, he was before Travis. Baker Blankenship was before Ian Munsick. He's like 20 years old. He's an up-and-comer. He has some good songs out. And then we missed the very first performer. It was a girl, Lacey Booth or something. I never really heard of her, but we missed her. We didn't get there in time. Played a little round of golf yesterday morning. It was a little chilly. So-so. Some good and some bad. And then we went to the music festival. So I was kind of watching games in between. So adversity, yes, in the context of not being able to watch a ton of football, but I still got to watch some. But this adversity is not like going to a wedding or going to an engagement or whatever, because I could watch, things kind of as we went. Now, it wasn't a whole lot of service there at the festival, but I was at least able to look up scores, and then I kind of went back and watched some stuff later on. So adversity, kinda, not really, but kinda. Great weekend though. Now let's get into this adversity for LSU, the Tigers, the Bengal Tigers, and Brian Kelly. This just came out probably 30 plus minutes ago. There was a meeting with Brian Kelly, and he was told he was going to be dismissed or is dismissed. They didn't, in the updates I saw, he didn't say fired, dismissed. He was letting know of his dismissal. Don't know what that means. Let me tell you what Brian Kelly's record is at LSU. 34-14. That's like a 70% win percentage. 34-14. Okay. They're 5-3. Listen, here's what I don't understand. You're at LSU and you fire. Now, is he the best fit at LSU? Probably not. Probably not. And that's okay. Most of the time. One question, one statement. First question is, who you going to hire? Who's going to get to LSU and be able to handle the expectations that is put on that coach? Who is out there who will take the job with those expectations and knowing if they don't go undefeated every year, you're under fire. Now, that's not the only job that's like that, but you're going to get that. Here's the next thing. And this is another thing I hadn't really talked about it a bunch. But this administration hired the guy, right? They hired him. And he's 34-14. And now they're going to say we've had enough. Listen, I just don't know. You know, I mean, yes, everybody wants to go undefeated. Gosh dang, everybody in the country does. But the reality is, maybe no teams are going to go undefeated when it's all said and done. So it's just crazy, man. Who you gonna bring in there who's gonna do better than that? 34-14. That's 48 games. Is it? Yeah, 48 games. Who's gonna come in there after 48 games and do just as good? Okay. I mean, maybe somebody will. I'd like to think they would. But gosh, I don't know. And that's the risk you take. And I guess they're saying that we'd rather take a risk and get somebody in here who can do better than 34-13 because we that's not good enough. I don't know. You're gonna have the resources there. You're gonna have money there, and I guess they're saying with the stuff we've given you, you should be better. And maybe they're right. But now you got to go find somebody who's better. Because if you don't, then you're just going in a merry-go-round. You're going over, round and round and round. I don't know. More power to you. Another head coaching job is open. A big Power 4 job is open. Who's going to get hired? First of all, who are they going to target? That's the first question. Then who's actually going to take the job? Who's going to be willing to leave? I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. But it's going to be interesting. And because you've got some Power 4 jobs open, you got some Power 4 head coaches available who are not coaching right now. Now, you may not want to hire one of those people because they got fired. At LSU, I can guarantee they're not going to do that. They're going to try to poach somebody. I don't know. I don't see them getting a coordinator from somewhere and bringing them in and being a head coach. They want to look for somebody established, I'm sure. That's what they did with Brian Kelly. Somebody established. Notre Dame brought him into LSU. You know, so I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do. It'd be interesting to see how they handle it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, man. So we'll get off the negatives because, you know, I get a little worked up about that. Worked up about the head coach firings, and I get worked up about officials. And wouldn't you know it, bad calls all around the country again. Like I said, I'll get out of the negative, but there were. Okay. Super fun week of football. You know, during the week had great games. Had a couple overtime games, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday. Had another game on Wednesday that didn't go to overtime, but it was a 3-point game, 3-point win. Kennesaw State Owls on Tuesday won by 19. No big deal. All right. You know, and also there might be there might be an episode coming from Kennesaw, Georgia later in the year. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Thursday, South Alabama and Georgia State. South Alabama is a shootout. I mean, I think it was 21-21 in the first quarter. Back and forth, big plays. South Alabama ends up winning at 38-31. All right, on Friday, the big one on Friday, North Texas was close with Charlotte for a while. They pull away at the end. They win by 34. 54. 54. They put up 54 points. Cal versus Virginia Tech. Cal at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was favored. And I thought that's an easy bet. I may or may not have had a parlay going this weekend. That may or may not have been my opening game. And obviously I picked Cal. I mean, I went Cal plus I think it's 4.5 when I picked it. I thought that's a no-brainer. They're going to win this game. They got into over there cross country in Blacksburg, Virginia. And the game goes back and forth, right? Goes back and forth. Cal's up 20-10 at half, and then Virginia comes back, ties it. And then Cal scores, and then Virginia Tech scores. Boom, boom. And now here's the crazy part is both teams had a game-winning field goal. They could hit a game-winning field goal, and both teams missed it. For betting reasons, I would have loved if one of those teams hit the field goal, allegedly. But here's the thing, though. Both of them missed. So then they go to overtime. They both score a touchdown, extra point in the first overtime. Virginia Tech gets the ball. What's that? First in the second overtime. They go and score. Cal's defense in the fourth quarter and the overtimes. I could have put Juke out there to run the ball. Taylor could have gone out there and run the ball. She's pretty athletic, but she could have gone out there and scored. The dudes weren't tackling. They didn't want to. A lot of lunges, a lot of lunging. They were wrap up, boom, bounce off. It just got worse and worse as the game went on. And so Virginia Tech, about 2 plays, boom, boom, they score. 2-point conversion, of course, they get it. I mean, all they're doing is just faking inside zone, running the quarterback outside with a lead blocker or two. I mean, and they didn't just do it once. So anyway, they score a 2-point conversion. Cal can't even, I don't know if they got one first down. And so then Virginia Tech wins. Great environment there. Looked like great environment. So it's not an easy place to go win, especially when you go across country on a Friday, to play on a Friday night. Like I always say, weekday games, you can't trust them. The trust meter on weekday games is very low. Stay away if possible. Stick with Saturday. Not saying you're just going to blow all the ones out of the water on Saturday, but weekday games, spooky stuff happens. And I know we're getting the spooky season. We're in October. Halloween's in just about 5 or 6 days. What's today? 5 days. Okay? I'm just saying. Weekday games are always spooky. You can't trust them. Trust meter is out on weekday games. Now, our next one, we're going to go to Bama and South Carolina. This is when I was able to watch back and forth a little bit. There's actually a TV out, kind of had all this, had a rodeo out there too. Had a TV under one of the places where they had the bars there. And they had the Alabama game on. So I got to watch some of that. And I was keeping up with the score most of the second half. So Alabama's up 14-6 at half. Here's a great stat. Here's a really good stat for you. Are you ready? First half rushing yards for Alabama. Guess how many? 0. You heard that. 0 rushing yards in the first half for Alabama. Zero rush yards. In the first half. Now, they ended up rushing the ball, at least for some yards in the second half. Ty Simpson threw for 253 yards. 24 for 43 with 2 touchdowns, threw for 253. They didn't have any run game in the first half. 14-6 in the first half. South Carolina scores first in the second half. Then they end up getting tied again at 22. South Carolina goes up 22-14. What's that? 22-14. Yes, 22-14. Alabama comes back, scores, gets 2-point conversion, ties it. And then they get the ball back later in the fourth quarter, go down and score. I mean, Alabama was running trick plays towards the end of the game, and they worked. All of them worked. I mean, one's not a trick play. They had Jeremy Bernard in the backfield. They run him out on the flat, and he's wide open inside the 10 or 5, and they score. 2-point conversion was more of a trick play. They hand it to Ty Simpson on a sweep. He fakes the reverse and throws it to the tight end in the end zone. And then when they get the ball back, they're going to go score to kick a field goal or score to win, being tied 22. They snap the ball to Jeremy Bernard. He runs, he fakes the reverse. I think it was Ty Simpson, fakes the reverse and just runs a sweep. And then there was about 30, 40 seconds left. South Carolina dude pulls up to let him score to give him more time to go possibly go tie it. And Alabama ends up sack. They don't get anything. Sacks them a couple times. They don't have any timeouts. Time runs out. Alabama played not a great game, obviously. South Carolina played one of their better games. It's not their best game of the year, and Alabama won. I've talked about it before with just me. I've talked about it with Griffin and Dalton. The teams who are able to play bad and still come out and win the game, those are teams who have chances to win a championship. You don't want to play bad, obviously, but those games are going to happen. You got to find a way to win still, and they've been doing it. After week 1, they've been doing it. South Carolina, probably, like I said, their best game of the year. I mean, Lenora Sellers, 18 for 32, 222 yards. He rushed for 67 also. It was basically the Lenora Sellers show. Nick Harbor, he's a freaking hoss. He's really good. So South Carolina gave it all they got. It's probably their A minus game. Alabama played probably a C game, and Alabama won. So now here's Alabama's got to be able to run the ball better. If they want to be able to compete in the postseason, they got to be able to run the football. Have to. I mean, it's a non-negotiable. But that's huge for Alabama to win the game after being down. Auburn, Arkansas. Auburn got the W. Auburn gets a win. It looked kind of shaky there for a bit. They go up early in the game, 10-0. Arkansas comes storming back. They take the lead. Auburn comes back methodically. Starts coming back, takes the lead. Arkansas throws a pick 6. Then I think they threw another pick or fumbled. Auburn got the ball again. Auburn ends up winning the game 33-24. Auburn needed it. Hugh Freeze needed it. And here's a scary thing. Here's another thing. A scary thing. They may fire Hugh Freeze. Some of these teams have fired these coaches whether they win or lost after a bye week. Auburn plays Vanderbilt on the 15th. I believe it's 15th. Or the 8th, maybe. They play them in the middle of November. Play Vanderbilt on the 8th and have a bye week. They may be waiting to fire Hugh Freeze in. And I hope not. I hope they're not. But who knows? Same question for Auburn as I have for LSU. If they do it, who you going to hire that's going to be better? And why do you hire Hugh Freeze in the first place? This would be 2 coaches in a row, Brian Harsin, Hugh Freeze, that you're not feeling good about after a couple years. Now, Brian Harsin was quicker, but then Hugh Freeze, people are unhappy. Now, here's the one thing about Hugh Freeze. He's calling offensive plays, and the offense seems to be the issue a lot of the time this season. I think before you fire him, you say, hey, Hugh, get you an OC. Get you an OC. You need to be CEO. Get you an OC that you trust. and let him call the plays. May help, may not. I don't know. Got to get. I think get an OC first, and then do something after that. Quickly, Florida Atlanta at Navy. Navy wins 42-32. 42-32. Navy just got after them. All right. 42-32. How many rush yards did old Navy have here? Oh boy, holy cow. Horvath rushed for 174. All right. Chapman rushed for 141. So just those two guys alone, they had 300 plus. Wow. So they had 300 plus. I mean, they were pushing 400 rushing yards. That's awesome. That's triple option for you folks. And they don't run it just, traditional under center. They do some, but they get in the gun a little. They're doing a lot of different things. And I love it. I'm all for the triple option. It's hard to defend. You do some great stuff with it. All right. And they got after Florida Atlantic. Good for Navy. UCLA and Indiana. Domination. I'm not going to say anything else. Domination. Indiana doesn't freaking mess around. Curt Cignetti they're not freaking messing around. They're gonna walk into the stadium. They're gonna go get after your freaking butt, and they're gonna go home. They ain't worried about none of the BS. They're into play. They're into freaking kick butt, and they do it. And they did it. And they've been doing it about every week. It'll be fun to watch them the rest of the year. It's a crash course. Indiana, Ohio State, Big Ten championship. Because UCLA, with their loss today, out of the picture. I know we talked about it a little bit last week. Possible Creds UCLA Northwestern. Sorry, that's over. Sorry, Griffin. Sorry, Dalton. It's over. Texas A&M LSU. LSU was leading at half, 18-14. 18-14. And then Texas A&M said, that's enough. And they score 35 unanswered. 35 straight. And they win 49-25. Texas A&M is dominant. They just might be the real deal. Okay? No, not might. They are the real deal. They're really good. They can win in a bunch of ways. They can win the slugfest. They can win the shootout. They can win when they go down a little bit early and then just come out of the second half and just hammer punch. Okay? Very impressive from Texas A&M. Super impressive. Yeah. Marcel Reed throws for 202, runs for 108. Do some quick math for you. That's 310 total yards. Heck of a freaking game. Okay. LSU, can they run the ball? Not really. They got held below 100, less than 100 yards rushing. That's their problem. And then Nussmeier threw for 168. All right. And had the other quarterback come in, threw for 50. So, I'm not getting a whole lot of offensive output. I'm not saying that they should be firing Brian Kelly. But, you know what? They did. They dismissed him. So, what are you going to do? All right. We'll see what happens. But very impressive by Texas A&M. Wisconsin, Oregon. I wasn't able to watch this game a whole lot. Really any. But Wisconsin, give it up for them. They kept the game close. Wisconsin almost got shut out. They scored in the fourth quarter with about 8 minutes left. That would have been 2 weeks in a row getting shut out. But they didn't. They scored. Wisconsin held Oregon to 21. That's a pretty decent feat in itself. But Wisconsin's still not great. Oregon, another team, hey, find a way to win even when it's not your best game. And they did it. Syracuse at Georgia Tech, domination from Georgia Tech. Domination. Syracuse didn't really, it was just Georgia Tech from the beginning all the way through. And it wasn't ever really close. And the score shows that. Georgia Tech, we already knew this, is a force to be reckoned with. They're a great football team, and I'm excited to see how they finish the year. I really am. I'm excited to see can they close the door, finish the SEC play. I mean, sorry, ACC play, and get in the championship game and finish it off. That's what I want to see from them. Can they do it? Ole Miss at Oklahoma, great game, back and forth game. Ole Miss is up. Oklahoma storms back in the third quarter, takes the lead. Ole Miss goes and scores. Okay. Goes and scores, end up going up 8. Oklahoma gets the ball late in the game, and they can't get in the end zone. Hail Mary at the very end. Ole Miss knocks it down. So, Ole Miss is becoming more and more impressive. I think it's Lane Kiffin's first SEC ranked opponent win on the road in his career. At least at Ole Miss, maybe even longer. That's huge for him. That's huge for Ole Miss. They're right in the mix. And their remaining schedule is pretty easy. Or I should say easy. Not many ranked teams are on that schedule. And I'm going to read it off to you when I can find it here. And I don't know where it is. Oh, it's going to be way. There it is right there. Yep. So Ole Miss, their remaining schedule. They got South Carolina at home. Not going to be easy. Now they got them at home, so they're not going to Columbia, South Carolina. Citadel. Furman beat them this weekend. Florida in Oxford, and then at Mississippi State. So no ranked opponents left on the schedule. I mean, they've got a smooth little schedule to end the season. So can they finish it off how they want to? That'll be the question. Can they stay hot? Can they keep winning? That's what we're going to see. Missouri at Vandy, low-scoring game, dude. Low-scoring game, kind of sloppy, some turnovers. Turnovers on downs. Vanderbilt finds a way to win. I think Vanderbilt turned Missouri over late in the game in the fourth quarter. Got the ball back to go score with not much time left. Vandy, man, look. The thing about Vanderbilt, they're going to talk about Diego Pavia all the time. Diego Pavia. But their defense is good. The defense holding teams. They've got other weapons. They do a lot of great things. They go to Texas this weekend. They play at 12 in Austin this weekend. Texas defense is pretty good. Here's the thing about Texas. With Vanderbilt's defense, if Vanderbilt can get on top, I think, as far as points, if they can get a lead on them, I think Vandy can put them away. It's not going to be easy, but I think they can put them away. They got Auburn at home in Nashville. Not an easy game. Bye week, Kentucky, and then at Tennessee. They got a good chance. I mean, they are on a crash course for the playoff. And that is freaking exciting, man. That's awesome. Okay. That's awesome. Ahmad Hardy for Missouri rushed for 97. Bo Prabula gets hurt in the game. Huge. Oh, man. Huge for Missouri. Backup came in. Backup kept him in the game. I think scored a touchdown. Yep, threw a touchdown pass to make it 10-10. They were down when he came in, and he tied the game up, which is huge for them. And but Bo Prabula getting hurt is not what they wanted, obviously. Pavia throws for 129, rushed for 20. Not his best game, but it's another thing. They're playing a good SEC football team. Missouri had chances to beat Alabama. Missouri has been very good all year. And Vanderbilt went to the wire with them and beat them. When you can play those games when you're not your absolute best and win them, that's championship caliber. That's what you're looking for. Okay? That's what you need in those games. All right. BYU at Iowa State. Iowa State was up early. Iowa State was up big early. And so I wasn't able to watch it, but I'm looking at scores. I'm thinking, oh man, I picked BYU to win. Iowa State was favored. It's at Iowa State. I'm thinking, man, this is gonna be bad. You got Rocco Becht, veteran quarterback, Iowa State. Bear Bachmeier, number 47, freshman quarterback, BYU. I'm thinking, how are they going to respond to that? Why did I even ask? I know how they're going to respond. It's BYU. Discipline. They're disciplined, man. They know how to freaking handle this stuff. And so, I mean, it's 24-10, 24-17, and then BYU finishes it off. They score a field goal, touchdown in the third quarter, 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they win 41-27. There were some big plays there late in the game that the old freshman QB made. This kid may be the real deal, man. I mean, he's not getting a whole lot of national attention. I think he's been freshman player of the year in the Big 12 like 5 or 6 times or something. The kid can play. How are they going to finish the year? They're in the wide open Big 12, which they are at the top of the Big 12. It's theirs to lose right now. They got a bye week. They go to Lubbock on November 8th. That's the big one. If they win that one, then they got Cincinnati. Cincinnati's also up there with them. So you've got 2 huge games. Now you got TCU in the middle of there, and you can't just roll by that one, hope it's going to be good. Texas Tech in Lubbock, TCU at home, at Cincinnati. It's tough. That's tough, man. Can they do it? And if anybody can do it, I probably got more trust in them than a lot of teams right now. Trust meter pretty high for the old Cougars of BYU. Virginia at UNC. I thought they had their first Power 4 win under old Bill Belichick, but they didn't. I mean, they're neck and neck with Virginia. It's tied 10-10, I swear, all game. They get to overtime. Virginia goes and they score. Get the extra point. They're up 17-10. Virginia, they go and score on their turn. They go for 2. They're going to end it right now. This play is going to end the game no matter what. And they go for 2. They get the ball out on the perimeter, throw it to the flat. The running back gets it. He gets tackled. He's trying to stretch, and his knee goes down with the ball like inside the 1. They review it. Call's upheld, which that was probably the right call. But they lose again. A very close one. Last week, they went to Cal on a Friday night, spooky Friday nights. They went to Cal, cross country, and they had the game won. It's 21-18. The guy's running the end zone, pops it out for a fumble, touchback. Cal gets it, and they finish the game. So that's 2 weeks in a row. They're very close. That's awesome for Bill Belichick and the team. They need some games like that. Now what they need to do, they need to finish those games off. Go get a win. All right? And let me see who they have to end the season. North Carolina at Syracuse. Winnable. Very winnable. Bye week versus Stanford. Very winnable. At Wake Forest. That's going to be tough. It's in-state game. And Wake Forest just beat SMU. We're going to talk about that one here very soon. Wake Forest not going to be an easy game. Jake Dickert and the boys. Great name, by the way, Jake. Then you got Duke. Not easy. At NC State. Not easy. So they've got their next 2 games, especially next 2 games. Syracuse. Who was it, man? Syracuse and Stanford. Those are your chances. Now Stanford's going to be tough. Syracuse is going to be tough too. But that's a great chance to go freaking get a couple wins in Power 4. And they're moving in the right direction. Got to give them props for that. USF Memphis. So Memphis goes, you know what Memphis did already. Lose to UAB last week. and then come back. They have USF at home. USF is a Group of 5 favorite to go in the playoff. Memphis said, "Screw that." Memphis goes down in the game 31-17. Then they come back, they score. Okay. Missed extra point, I believe, 31-23. They kick a field goal, 31-26. Memphis does. Then Memphis goes down and scores, goes for 2, gets it, 34-31. So now South Florida less or a minute and a half left. They get the ball back. They're going. They get kicking a long field goal. Grammatica is the kicker's name. Long field goal. He's hit some field goals like this in the season. He kicks it and misses it just left, and Memphis wins. South Florida is no longer undefeated in conference, and they are they're not really. I mean, they might be the favorite, but as far as as far as the actual records go, they're not. You got 2 teams in the American who are now undefeated. Are still undefeated American, so they got to have some help now to get that win to be in the playoff. They need some help. Memphis also needs some help, but they've got a huge win of tiebreaker over South Florida. Navy and Tulane are the other 2 teams undefeated in the American. Texas and Mississippi State. Mississippi State just got to be able to finish the game off. They're up big. I think 2 scores. And Arch Manning and the boys, they bring it back, take it to overtime. Arch Manning gets hurt. Texas still scores, and they hold Mississippi State from scoring. Mississippi State, I believe. Let me look at this. Mississippi State are now 4-4. They won their first 4 games, their first out-of-conference games. Southern Miss, Arizona State, big win. Northern Illinois, and Alcorn State. Okay, and then they've had 4 conference games. Tennessee lose by 7. Texas A&M got after 31-9. Florida lose 23-21 in the swamp, and now Texas lose 45-38 in overtime. I mean, they haven't won an SEC game in a long time, and they thought that was a chance. Now they get a bye week, and they go to Fayetteville, play Arkansas. They're better than their record, and it's hard to say. It's hard to say that and be like, oh yeah, I promise you they are. They are though. Okay, they really are. But they got to start winning some of these games. They play Georgia too, Missouri, Ole Miss. I mean, they have a pretty tough schedule. They've got 3 ranked opponents if Missouri stays ranked. Man, they're better than their record, and I wish that they would finish the game off and win it, because I want them to do better. But they got to finish the game. Illinois at Washington. Washington beats Illinois. Illinois is going to be out of top 25. They need to be. Washington is physical. They got a good quarterback, receiver, running back, dynamic. But they're just better than Illinois. Illinois has just shown that when they play the better teams, they don't play very well. And Washington got after him pretty good now. Got after him pretty good. Big time for Washington. They're trying to get back in the mix, stay in the mix, maybe get ranked. Illinois was trying to. They were still ranked in the top 25. Now they're going to be out. I think that's the 3rd loss of the year. When they play good teams, they don't come to play as well. Not even close. So, here's what it is, man. Got to win the games. Big 12, Houston, Arizona State. Arizona State beats Texas Tech last weekend at Arizona State. Houston goes to that same field and beats Arizona State. Houston is 7-1, I believe. Willie Fritz. I mean, let's look at this. It was 24-0 in the 3rd quarter. At the end of the 3rd quarter. And then Arizona State scores 16 points there in the 4th quarter. So, I mean, you know, Arizona State is not who they were last year. Cam Scatterbo, everybody, he's gone. What are they going to do? Are they going to be as good? They're not. They're not. And it's probably not just Cam because they got Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, the receiver. He may have been injured a little bit. But I think Houston's a good football team. Willie Fritz does a great job. Houston's 7-1 now. Houston has West Virginia after a bye week this coming up weekend. West Virginia at UCF, TCU at Baylor. They don't have the top teams left. Houston doesn't. They've lost to Texas Tech. They beat Arizona State. So they're looking pretty good there in the Big 12. They are. It's just BYU at the top, Cincinnati at the top, lots of one-loss teams. That's how a lot of these conferences are going to be as far as how their rankings. And maybe not at the end, but at least right now, a lot of them are set up that way. SMU Wake Forest. Wake Forest kicks a game-winning field goal to win 13-12. Wake Forest, it was a defensive battle for both teams. Sloppy. There were turnovers. Couldn't move the ball. They moved the ball, they'd get stopped. Or turn the ball over. Turn over on downs, whatever. Punt them deep. Not a whole lot of offense. Wake Forest had just enough. Kicked the game-winning field goal at the end to win the game. Connor Morgan, I'm sorry, brother. That's a tough one. The old Demon Deacons got you. Kansas State at Kansas. I picked Kansas to go win the game, and Kansas State blistered them. I mean, absolutely hammered. It was 42-17, I think was the score. It's just, trust meter for Kansas, low. And it's been that way all year. I've been trying to pick them over and over again because I feel like I have trust in them. I got to stop. I don't have trust in them anymore. Kansas State, I don't have a lot of trust in them either. But they're way better now than they were in the beginning of the year. And I saw the beginning of the year, and I didn't trust them. Now I got to trust them more because they are much better now. Here's one of the G5 games, G6, whatever, that I talked about last week with G&D. Toledo at Washington State. Washington State beats them 28-7. Takes care of business just like we all thought they would. Big time for Washington State. I was going to see if I could find that one. Oh. Let's see, folks. Washington State, Toledo. There it is right there. Yep. Washington State, Toledo. Yeah, it was never close. It was 21-7.5. Toledo didn't score a point in the second half. So 28-7 Washington State wins. Yeah. Toledo rushes for about 60 yards. Not much of a rushing attack at all. And not like Washington State just freaking blew you out of the water with their offensive production, but they obviously did more. And their defense played better. And they held Toledo to 7 points, which is huge for anybody. Last game, Colorado at Utah. Another one, I'll just say one word: domination. I think it's 43-0 at half or something like that. Is that right? 43-0 at the half? Yeah, it was, folks. 43-0 at the half. And Colorado scored in the fourth quarter. 53-7 is the final. Colorado's been playing all their other games close, right? All their other games have been close. This one was not. Utah said, it's not happening today, boys. Now, a few FCS games. There's one that I think is pretty big. Presbyterian played Dayton. Presbyterian's undefeated in the Pioneer League. Dayton beats them, so now Presbyterian is not undefeated anymore. Presbyterian was wanting to go playoff, all that good stuff, right? They still may win the Pioneer, but you see they've got some flaws. They're, the Pioneer League's already non-scholarship football. But now Presbyterian is not undefeated. They were really beating people early in the year. And then Dayton was not the team I thought that would beat them. All right, was not the team I thought, but they did it. They sure did it. Now we've got Incarnate Word at UTRGV. Rio Grande Valley, Texas. We talked about this one. I picked Rio Grande Valley. They go and they beat Incarnate Word. Rio Grande Valley just started the program. They're pretty dang good. They're pretty dang good. They're winning a lot of games, and they're beating teams that are pretty decent, especially being a new program. Big for them. And then the one everybody wants to talk about. You already know who it is. North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Pure domination. North Dakota State beats them 38-7. Pure domination. South Dakota State couldn't compete. North Dakota State has been dominant every game they've played, and that didn't change this past week. That's the game people usually look at every year. And that's the biggest FCS game regular season every year, basically every season. So, and North Dakota State just kind of went ahead and put it away early. I got a couple D2 scores we need to talk about here. Talk about for my folks here. I had them pulled up a second ago and they went away. Tusculum goes to Catawba and get beat 38-3. Obviously, I've not seen this game, but when I was there last year, we went to Catawba. We lost that one as well. It wasn't quite this bad, but 38-3 is it's not very fun. Now my guy Cole Watson, OC at Newberry. They're playing Emory and Henry. These are both the top two teams in the SAC conference right now. Playing at Newberry. Newberry wins 36-34. The freaking boys win 36-34. Awesome for Newberry, dude. They're 7-1. All right, they're definitely in the lead in the SAC. I don't have their schedule in front of me right now, but I got faith in the boys there, and my boy, they're gonna go get it done, win the SAC, make the playoffs, maybe make a run. Who knows? Now, I'm looking for where's my boys at West Al. They play Delta State. And they lose 41-38. Dadgummit, man. 41-38. They were down 34-17 in the first half, at the end of the first half at halftime, and then kind of tried to storm back and win. They couldn't do it. Man, oh man. Well, still some games left. When you play in the Gulf South of Division II, right? It's not just it's not a cakewalk by any means. It's gonna be pretty tough. All right, Division III, I got to see my boys. I got my boys played each other. Millsaps goes to Barry. Millsaps over in Jackson. My boy Rich Murphy. Barry, I coached there for a season. Coach K and the crew. Barry wins 43-20. Barry is a very good football program. Coach K has done a phenomenal job. He's been there since they started in 2013, I think it was. And they get the big win. Barry is now 6-1. Only loss coming to Carnegie Mellon, who's a ranked team in Division III. They're trying to get in the playoffs and make a run. So if they win the conference, they get in, obviously. They just got to take care of business the rest of the year. So that's awesome. There's your recaps of the games. Okay, now here's the thing. Let's see. I'm gonna talk about a couple things, right? So I've gotten some comments and things, right? We've got some comments. We've got some people talking about some things here. I wanted to talk about a couple, or bring up a couple, before we get off this evening. Immunity. All right. So let's hit this one up right here. All right. So look, I have not given this guy a shout out yet. He's commented a whole lot. It's been great. He brings up some great stuff. And I'm going to give him a shout out right here. Hudson Hines, you know who you are. Grew up in the same area, same place, right? So he's, we're talking about if Freeze gets fired, right? John Summerall to Auburn. John Summerall is the guy that every SEC school that people are going to think they're going to target. They may or may not target him, but everybody thinks John Summerall's the first guy, and he probably will be for a lot of teams. He's already been brought up for multiple, right? So Auburn for sure, people are saying he's going to be the first guy they target if they do something with Hugh Freeze. Don't know if they will or not. It also says, and Lane Train's headed to Gainesville. You know what? He might. Okay, he might. But I don't think he needs to, man. I don't think he needs to. Stay at Ole Miss and make Ole Miss a freaking powerhouse. You're already getting there. You're already getting them in that spot. You just beat Oklahoma. He may not even be worried about this job. I think, Lane, if you're listening, I know you're listening to Pad Level. I know you are. Stay at Ole Miss, dude. Make Oxford. Be a legend in Oxford, baby. Be that guy. The stadium's going to be named after you. The field, streets named Kiffin Road. There'll be children being named Kiffin, right? You decide, brother. You decide, man. All right, let's see here. Yep. Yeah, so I want to give Hudson Hyde a shout out because he's been tuning in. He's been listening a lot, so I appreciate you, buddy. Now, I'm also give a shout out to my man Justin Rowell. We call him Raul. He's not French or anything. We just call him Raul. All right, one of my boys are growing up. So he texted me this today, actually. Do you think college football will start scheduling similar to what the NFL does? Playing different teams outside of your conference during a regular season. And I said, I personally, I think that would be awesome. You got to play conference games. Everybody's going to 9, so you only got 3 other games. If you keep the 12-game schedule, 3 other games to choose those out-of-conference games. And we've seen a couple conferences already say one of those games has to be versus a Power 4 opponent, which I think is great. I honestly wouldn't hate it if all of them were. But we start at 1, that's great. And he continues to say, I think it'd be cool to see, Georgia, Ohio State, Bama, Oregon, something along those lines. How about this? Texas Tech, Georgia Tech. Ooh, pretty good. Big 12 ACC. In the middle of October, November. And I think it'd be great. Here's the thing that I don't think will happen. I don't think a whole lot of teams, it'd be hard to get them to buy into scheduling a Power 4 good opponent in the middle of conference play. You may get it in the beginning of the year. Conference play, I don't think you're going to get it. So that's my thoughts. I would love to see it. I think it'd be tough to do that. And it, he mentioned like the basketball, how they do the SEC versus Big Ten Challenge. Right, and I think that'd be great. I just think it'll be early in the year if they do it. And I think that's been talked about before. But, I think that would be awesome. That is a possibility, but I don't think they'll do it in the middle of conference play. Maybe more at the beginning of the year. That's the show. That's our episode. It was a great weekend of football, a great weekend of music for me, personally. Round of golf, that's fun. I hadn't played in about a month or 2. That was good. It's been a great time. And I appreciate you hopping on this and checking out the pod. Listen, YouTube, Spotify. YouTube, subscribe. Spotify, follow. Rate on both if you can. Comment on both if you can. What do you think I'm just way off on? What do you think I'm right on? What do you think I need to change? Keep the same. Let me know, man. I'm all ears, okay? I'm all ears. I'm going to get whether it's a reel or some kind of digital trust meter, we're going to get that on here at some point. At some point, I'd like to get some merch. You see this right here? You telling me you don't want a hat or something or a shirt with something like this on there? You're crazy if not. I won't put my name on there. We'll just put Pad Level on there, right? Pad Level. It's great, man. Listen, we'll be back later in the week. Griffin and Dalton will be with me. We'll talk through the games we got coming this week. Some really good ones coming up this week. We'll talk about the AP poll. I'll release the Jake poll. I know that's what everybody wants. And we may even talk about a little gambling. I don't know if we will. We may get into it. Um, and also I think we may get into a little bit of, who do we think is going to end up winning the conference in each conference. Maybe next week's the first CFP selection show. Maybe we go and we predict who we think's going to make the playoff. Maybe we do that too. I think the options are endless, man. We can do so much stuff. So we're going to get into some of that later in the week. We'll get it out there for you to listen to and watch. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube. It's going to be on TikTok. I got to figure out how to get on Apple Podcast. I got to do it for you Apple folks. I got to do it. But I'm going to figure it out. We'll get there. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in, listening. I appreciate you being a fan of college football. Best sport in the world. I'm very biased, but I think it's true. All right. I hope you have a great week. And I will talk to you soon. All right. Have a great week, folks. God bless you. Love you very much. See you later.